topic, which is 2.0, the engineering importance of location. So we will add point data in QGIS, and this will run for a maximum of 60 minutes only, with the following course learning objectives. To learn to add location-based information in a GIS software. Having said that, the software is QGIS. And second, to learn to use web-based map for location finding. So we will be utilizing other pertinent information or base map information from other sources. Third is to plot point features and attributes in a given location. So the plotting will be in the form of building exercise, which you need to do for XU campus. So that will also be your fourth laboratory exercise. Number 4, we need to develop map, which now will include legends of the point features that we will be adding. So just to cover the 4 topic learning objectives, that will be for about 60 minutes or less. So I'll guide you through the process of how to make location points using the software, and you can either work it while I discuss it, or you can also do it later. Pero I advise that if your speed is, or your internet speed, your connection rather, is quite enough, you follow through the session on demand, meaning as how I do it also. So kung naamoy errors along the way may encounter, mas better na ma-clarify na to daan while we do this task para makapadayon na with your other exercises. So first things first, you need to open your QGIS software. It will take some more time if you have already made some previous projects. So opening the software will roughly run for about 2 to 3 minutes if you have some other projects that you did before. Kung bugato siya mga projects, all the more mas lugay siya mo run. Kinalaman i-recall sa software yung latest na kanang gamit na functions o latest po dayon nga gamit na files. So para sa ako, it takes a little bit longer to open the software. So once your software is ready to go, we begin first by adding your base maps. So if you recall from our second learning objective, we need to learn how to use web-based information or base maps for location finding para makabalo tag-asa ta using different web-based information. So what I have here are 2 options on how to add a base map. The first option is that what we did the other time, which was to use the quick map services using OpenStreetMap standard. So everyone knows how to add this already as long as you have the plugin. But take note that plugins expire. So if you ever try to update your software, sometimes ang plugin dili ma-update, so you will have some errors on accessing the features. So that's why there are alternative options for you to add base map information. So dili lang siya from the quick map services, but there's also another option here. So I'm trying to zoom in to Cagayan de Oro so that I can be familiarized with the location. And Puslanman, we're from Cagayan, so we'll focus on the city. And also try to focus the view or the extent of the map view near the campus. Okay, so you might also visit the campus even virtually. Okay, we have some limitations now. So the campus is still doing fine, except that there's lesser cats here. Wala na po kayo may makita mga kanang people roam, kaya mas gamay ng tao karon. And the soccer field is still green. So, manang mga good news ka na there sa campus. So, we'll try to map out the locations of all the buildings here, but we need to use secondary information from base maps. So, I added the OpenStreetMap standard already. The other option is to use Google information. So, how do we do and add or link even Google information? So we do that by using the Open Data Source Manager tab. So same sa itong gibuhat last time, but instead of using data that's saved on your computer, we will use something that's over the internet. Okay? So once you're here, try to look for XYZ tiles. Okay? If your XYZ tiles tab is empty, walay sulod, parehaan you need to add first a connection. So to add a connection, just go over XYZ tiles, right click, and then go to new connection. A window will appear. Well, it will require you to input the name and the source of that XYZ connection. So I've already prepared in eLearn a link for you to get all the necessary base map data from either Google or even other sources. It's nested under 2.0a, how to add a Google map or terrain satellite layer. So once you click the link, you will be guided to a website from Atari Labs. So if you recall, we also use the same learning materials from the hydrology class on how we made the groundwater model. So it's the same source. So here you actually have different sources of XYZ tiles. You can use roadmap, terrain, altered roadmap, satellite, and even hybrid layers. For this exercise, we will use satellite only. Okay? So what we need to do lang is copy this link from this hyperlink from HTTP until this portion. So just copy that one and then go over or go back to your QGIS software. In the URL page, you need to paste the hyperlink that you just copied. So there is a paste. And then the name should be Google Earth Satellite. Okay? So those are the two options you need to access the Google Earth repository. You don't need to edit some of the functions here because they're on default. So if this is the first time you need to do this, just press OK. But because I already have it in my system, you notice na naman ko yung Google Earth Satellite, so I will not press OK. Kaya ma-override akong existing na features. So I'll just click cancel. But for your case, just press OK. Okay? Once it's added, you need just to drag the data that you need. So in my case, it's Google Earth Satellite. So I'll just drag it into the map view here or into the layer view. As long as mo appear ang plus, you're allowed to drag that data. Pero sa taas mo, kita ninyo, dili na yung mga adira. Dili na siya sa map view or sa layer view. So akong i-paste diri siya sa, or i-release ang kanang mouse diri sa map view. So once done, just close the data source manager window. So nana din kay info sa satellite data sa Google. And this is a worldwide database. So masinsin yung balay na na-access si Google sa inyong satellite data. So kabalo sila asa yung balay sa color sa ato or iba ka sa inyong compound. So let's check how high is the accuracy of the satellite data. So you can see some of the vehicles. You can identify the color of the roof. You can even see some of the trees, and di lang gid maklaro ang tao, but in some cases, smaller vehicles like motorcycles or motorella, nagaging ang motorella, kamay, then other vehicles na nakapark. So inana lang ang level of detail na kaya sa Google Earth. But it's enough to put location or extract location-based information of a certain entity, of which in our exercise this afternoon, we will learn how to extract information of buildings. Okay? So now that you have two of this database or base maps, you can actually turn off one of them. Okay? So sa akong case, akong i-off ang OSM standard. This is to conserve internet speed. Okay? Every time mag-move ka, i-load niya na, i-access niya sa internet. So kung hina yung internet, hina yung software. So my advice, just turn on one. Any OSM standard later, ganito na natin for verification. So I will not delete this one, but I'll just turn it off. Okay? So now that we're ready with the base map, we will try to extract information from the building that we know from the campus. So first, you need to look for this button. This is the new shapefile layer. So what does this button do? This will this allows you to create point, polygon, or line information based on a base map. So since naman tayo base map, we want to locate the buildings and identify what type of information we can get from it. So I'll click this one, and then a window will appear. This window requires you to input some of the pertinent information about the point or polygon data. In our case, we need to specify here what will be the attribute columns. Like, will we input names? Will we input number of students, population, or even the number of stories of a certain building? So to do that, we'll first look for a place where we can store the data. So you don't need to put the file name here first, but look for where you want the file to be located. So you need to look for this button first. Go to browse, and then inside your folder, remember I instructed you to create a folder before for the subject. So sa kanina case is C23, and then put it inside a folder named GIS data. Okay? So pwede ka mag-create of new folder, name it GIS data, or if you have an existing one sa katong i-download last time, pwede na rin i-update. So in our case, na naman ta, so i-open lang nato ni. And then dito ta magsulod of info. So the name of the file is buildings. Okay? But because na existing na buildings dira, let's put buildings underscore XU. Okay. So now that we have the file name, let's save. Next, we need to specify the file encoding. This actually determines the language. So make sure it's enabled as UTF-8. Mumaning basic basta Windows. It's English, so don't confuse yourselves kung sa'yo pasabot sa UTF-8. The geometry type, because we're focused on location of points, we will use point. But in the next exercises, you will be taught how to reduce lines, polygons, and even multi-points. So since first level pa man, point lang sa top. Next, additional dimension should be none. Kaya wala man siya base map information on the elevation, so you will not add additional dimensions. Next, for the projection, by default, it should be EPSG 4326 WGS84. However, if you don't have it setting yet, kindly look for this button. This enables you to select for the coordinate reference system. Okay, so here you just need to filter and look for the code 4326. Okay, and there should be one CRS that should appear as WGS84 with an EPSG of 4326. Okay, so once your CRS selection appears, just press OK. Then, ma-change din na siya. Okay? Now, in the next portion, we need to select and add fields. So by default, there's an existing field called ID. ID is a unique identification of the feature. So if i-label mo siya as number 2, number 3, so the software will allow that. But we need other information aside from ID. We need first the building name. Okay, so I'm typing here building name, but take note that you can't type everything. You can actually limit to 10-bit characters lang. So I usually use codes. So like this one, BLNG, build name. Okay? Build that name. Allowed mo na siya kayo. Put mo na siya 10. Okay? And then the type should be text data. Okay? The length can be 80, meaning 80 characters ang masunod sa isang cell. So allowed na siya. Pwede na po niyo i-reduce, pero for the time being, let's limit it to 80. So once done, okay, text data man, there's no position for a text data, so you just click add to fields list. Next, we also need to get information on the color. So I'll use build that color. This will allow us to input the color of the building. So dili mo ito ang color ba? What if we use BLDG? Okay, color. Ang importante ang alignment. So building color, may ipapasabot na. The type should be text data, the length should be 80, and then precision is none. So once you're done, add to fields list. Okay. Next, we have the name, the color. You also need the information on how many stories there are. So I'm using BLDG.store. Okay, para sa storage. Pwede sab na siya imong i-cut as SP para store stories ba pila siya ka levels ana. So type kay number naman it should be whole number, and then you can limit the number of characters to 10. Okay na siya. Precision doesn't need to input precision kay whole number man. Ang pasabot sa precision kay pila ka decimal places, so wala man na siya. So once you're done, click add to fields list. Next, we need information on the building students. So pwede man na siya nga NO students. Student, okay na. NO.student. Then the type should be whole number, the length should be 10, no precision, and add to fields list. So I have number of student, building story, what else? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. We need to input also the college. Kung kinsa ang gaon ang college. So ang sa type should be text data. Length should be 10, position is 0, and then add to fields list. Okay. So we're inputting here blank details on the building information. So it's up to you to input and verify what information you need for each attribute. So it depends basically on how you do it. Okay, so once you're done, we need at least 7 fields. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 ready. I can naman din yung ID. So 6 fields list, and then press OK. So ang nahitabo, you have now a clear building XU. So you need to edit this one with the information that you have in mind. It's either it should come from the OSM standard or based from your basic knowledge. Kita ga XU mo mo. So abalo mo asa ni nga mga building ko unsa ang mga info ni. So in QGIS, you need to enable first editing before you can add any feature. So maski pag unsaon ako og zoom dira or drawing, dili na ma-save kay dapat naka-enable pang editing mode sa imong feature. So para ma-enable, you can highlight the feature, this one. By the way, isa ka din siya kayo, yun makita ka naman sa ilalom. Isa ka siya ang point. It should be located on top. So right-click and then make sure toggle editing is there. So you click this one, toggle editing, and we enable the nga tab. By the way, kani siya nga tab, sometimes placed here or dili sa taas. Sa ako lang i-transfer dili kay para dili ito siya nga tab. So this toolbar enables the user to edit the feature. Whether you want to delete or add, it's enabled using this toolbar. Okay? So once it's in the editing mode, makita ni mo ng lapis na naka-enable. This is a pencil na icon. Okay? And then, enabling pa to, ang hitabo. Para mag-add ka feature, look for this button. It's the add point feature. Then once you mo nang i-click, mo change din ang cursor into like a crosshair. Okay? So, pag nanaka-ana ka stage, you're now ready to go in adding the location of the buildings that you want and input the fields of each of those attributes. So, I'll look first for the College of Engineering building here. So position the crosshair, left click, and then the attribute fields list that you just prepared will be shown to you for editing. So it will ask you, okay, una man na tong ID. So I'll input number 1 as the ID number. Build name. Everyone knows it's the engineering building. Okay. The building color, actually it's made in concrete. It's bare concrete. The building story, we have 6 stories, so 6. The number of students from the other class, they said it's 800, so I'll just put 800. But you can just freely input any number you like. It's not required to have a very accurate number here. Wala man tayong data on that. The college should be College of Engineering. Dili lagi siya pa-input. Engineering na. Wait. Ano ni siya? Okay. Na-limit na ko to 10 characters ni. Sige lang. I'll just input ni NG''G. Pwede naman na magpapindot na. Okay? So, once ka na lang siya, then press OK. So, what happened is na nakoy position sa building, and then I know other information about it. So, kung saan man to access, you can either right-click the feature and go to Open Attribute Table. So, makita mo itong imong i-input na feature. Or, you can also look for this button, Identify Features, and mugawas ng Identify Results na tab. So, pag imong i-select itong point, mugawas itong iyang info. So, just like in Google Earth, pag mag-select ka sa isa pa feature, mugawas ng info. So, same na siya. So, to move on with the exercise, we need to identify more buildings. So, I'm interested to plot this building. So, I'll name it as building number 2. The building name is Dr. Jose P. Rizal School of Medicine. Okay. The building color is the same, bare concrete. Building story is 5. Number of students is just say 900. The college is medicine. Okay. Press OK. The same happen if I go to the attributes table, I should find the information already being inputted. Okay. So just continue doing this one until you complete around 30 or must be 25 buildings lang. So 25 to 30 buildings within the campus. The more the better kay basig natay ibang structures na wala na map. Maskin ang guardhouse, i-appeal na siya sa structure. Maskin o gamay nga office, i-appeal na siya sa structure. So I'll just continue adding the third one, and then we'll lay out the data later. Okay, so now that I have 3 points, I can actually save this project. By the way, saving the project, you can do this one before you even start para ma-plaster siya. If kanang confident mo nga dili maputol lang inyong kanang software along the way, pwede na po para sa akong andito na ako sa last ng save. So for this exercise, this is exercise number 4. But because I have an existing file from the other section, so I'll just put here exercise number 4B. So I'm saving the file, so the name should appear on top, and then I'll start the layout. So I'll go to new print layout, name it as exercise number 4B, press OK, and then the layout window will appear. So ako lang i-maximize. Make sure that the page setup size is at A4. So I go to page setup. So It's at A4, so I'm okay. So press okay. And then we need to add the map that we just generated from QGIS. So I'll go back to my layout. And then I'll look for add a new map to the layout. So left click, and then I will create a rectangle where I want the map to be shown. So I'm positioning it from the upper left until I reach the lower left corner of the page. So drag lang ako, and then I release. So rendering the map, and then the map I just created from the software will appear on the paper size that I just created. Okay. Next extra step, we need to add a legend. So the legend can be found here. So add a new legend to the layout. Whichever data you have from your QGIS file will be added here. So ato lang i-specify kung asa natin ibutang ang legend, and then release. So natin kay map na legend. But we see na ay irrelevant info, like we don't need the base map info. So para ma-edit ni siya, just click this portion sa legend and then look for the information on legend items. And check the auto update, and then try to remove Google Earth satellite in the legend. So left click, then look for the minus sign here and the OSM standard. Okay, para limpyo yung legend niya, kanilang siyang small portion here. I forgot, you need also to add a title for the legends. Notice niyo yung links XU, so wala siya info kung sa'yo pasabutan na. So, mas maayo, i-select ni siya, and then sa title, add the word legend. Okay? So, that's all for this exercise. We just need to collect your outputs. So, try to go to layout, then go export as PDF. Okay, just ignore this error or a message, and then name it as exercise number 4B. So by default, kung sa gilabel ni mo sa atong layout file, mo pwede na yung awaton dire. Pero, dugangi lang din siya o kanang apelyido. So, atong i-change na to this label. Okay? So, ako lang matangag B kay para dili ma-override kung akong gihimodaan. So, this is now exercise number 4B, but input your family name. So, ako is Valiente, so all caps na siya dapat. Valiente. Okay? Once you're done, press save. Okay? Then, ma-appear din yung siyang kanang export option. So, just press enter. Dayon sa taas, magawas ang link kung asa ang file. So you can actually open that, and then you now have your PDF copy of your file. Atong map na gibuhat. So limpyo siya o trabaho kay wala pang man tayo gibuhat or i-add na other info or pertinent information. Okay? So that's all for today's exercise. Unless you have some questions.
Sir, naka-question. If ever maka-add na ka sa katong buildings dito, sir, pwede pa ito ni mo ma-edit yung attributes?
Pwede pa ma-edit. Basta naka-enable editing lang ka. So, pagitaan ta ka, so i-edit kay base no, masayop mo ang input. So, kinahanglan ninyo kanang alisdan ang info. So, dire, pag naka-toggle editing, so take note na on ang lapis dire, ma-edit ko nimo attribute table. So, right-click lang, open to attribute table. Then dire, pwede nimo na ma-edit ang number. So, for example, 10. So, pwede na siya. Ano yung himong 2,000. Pwede na siya. Okay na to, Linera?
Yes, sir. Additional lang, sir, sa number of students, sir, kami na mag-vote, sir, or nato sa, sa e-learn.
Kamo lang sa ibuot, kay di man po na siya kinahanglan nga accurate nga information.
Okay, sir.
Basta kayo na ay mabutang number. Kung dili mo sure, 0.
Sir, so bale sa exercise 3, magbutang lang may sir point each build for magbutang lang may point each building sir o nya data details about sa each building.
Yes.
Okay
Yes.
po sir. Thank you sir.
Exercise naman so kanang points na siya. Then XU campus pa. Pero sa inyo ang isabit nga midterm project, dili lang inana kagamay, daghan mo i-add. Siguro isa ka barangay para na ma-challenge din mo. Napay pangutana?
Sir, na ako'y question.
Yes.
Kanang dili ko maka-receive og emails bitaw sir mga notice sa Google Meet.
Pwede niyo mo is-chat ang email na gusto sendan.
Sige.
Dira sa chat box ibilin lang. Kaya kung i-edit ang classroom na to.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Gusto mo ka diri nga schedule ba? B3?
Yes, sir. Okay.
So, kaning email ang i-add. CE23 B3. Okay na, Chab?
Thank you,
Next,
sir.
si Makapag. Dirigi ako ng section. Next, si Renua. Gmail. Naan naman ka Janine Renua?
Wala gyapon ko
Renua,
receive, sir.
Nakasend mo ko. Ako ganyan pa. I-share sa mo screen. Ano nga email ang gigamit? Na ay na-send ganina o katong topic 3 na invitation. Na-send siya.
Wala man.
Tanaw daw sa spam.
Oh, wait lang.
Itanaw sa spam kayo. Nakakata. Kaning email ranoajanine@gmail.com. Nakaman since kuan ang correspondence sa C23. January 7, nakasend ako info.
Wala gyapon sa spam, sir.
Something's wrong with your email, kung inana.
Yan lang, sir.
Pina-appeal man siya. Ang gigamit dire is hama ko yung email na send sa imo. Kaya kung gagamitin na nga subject sa ito. Ano ka na?
I-check na lang po na ko, sir. Basin na din na, sir.
Sige. Tanawa lang basic naka-divide dito yung email para yan ako nga na-assign tabs. Tanawa lang sa each tab ba inara dito.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Next, si Darapa. Okay, actually, I can stop the recording now. Hindi naman siya para sa lesson. So, Darapa.